Hello everyone and welcome to this quite interesting question about people with hearing or seeing impairments. How can instruments be modified for people with hearing or seeing impairments as well as other differently able-bodied performers? I think really this one's actually a lot less about modifying the instruments and more about modifying the learning approach. So just to put a spin on the question there, sorry. So just as a starter, deaf musicians or hearing impaired musicians often feel the music. So obviously some people will have some hearing there or will use hearing aids. And please forgive me if I say any of this wrong, because I'm not actually deaf myself or know much about this, but I'm going by what I've learned and what I've picked up over the years. And even then they use vibrations as well as other particular things like their hearing aids, the aids that they have. A nice little thing about this actually recently, I'm not really a Strictly Come Dancing fan, but I have seen that, I think she's called Rose, and she's in soap, I can't remember which, and she is deaf, and their last dance that she did, and she actually won the competition, she did sort of, they danced together, and I think from what I've learnt of watching it, that when her partner touches her, she knows that the dance has started. So instead of obviously hearing the beat properly, she goes by touch, feel. And then they danced part of the song that they were doing. And then the music stopped and they carried on dancing because that was then representing the deaf community's world, what they're actually living in. It was a really emotional performance, actually. And then the music started again, and they carried on and danced to the end. So that's deaf musicians. Then we'll talk about we'll carry on with the deaf side of things first, actually, because I think there's a bit more to go yet. So there's really, when teaching someone with a hearing impairment, you have to sort of, instead of applying limitations on their capabilities, please don't do that. Make adjustments so that the teaching suits them. So for example, with a deaf student, face them when you're talking to them so they can see what's going on. Don't talk and play at the same time. So if you're trying to show them something, don't do both at the same time. Which is good. I'd never be able to do that anyway. I struggle talking and playing at the same time. So actually, it wouldn't be something I'd have to change much. So yeah, do the talking first, then the play, and then talk afterwards. And then that student can then follow everything on from there. I think I also read about stop moving around whilst talking. If you're in a room, don't walk around, stay stood still and talk to them. And don't get frustrated if they keep making a mistake over and over again. So keep the frustration down, keep it all sort of level. Obviously, if they work and they use sign language as a communication, if you know sign language, obviously that will go much further, and there will be music teachers out there that have that training to be able to carry out lessons for deaf musicians. With blind musicians, ever so slightly different. They more feel around their actual instrument. I have read that some use braille sheet music, and then they sort of study it and memorize it, if you like, and then others just learn by ear anyway, because I think that in some ways cuts sort of a middleman out. They get someone else to perform it or listen to a performance of it and then recreate it themselves. There's a blind lad on TikTok who I think I've mostly seen him play Disney music, but he also does other requests from other people. And I think his method of learning is listening to the piece that exists already, feeling around the keys, and then playing. I've also noticed, Stevie Wonder's blind, and you'll often notice with blind people, they go by sort of the black keys on the piano, and then they know what notes obviously stem from those. So there's a lot of that going on, and I'd imagine the same with other instruments. But yeah, some other instruments can be a little easier, I must admit. for example, if you close your eyes and play the saxophone, I think it's far easier than trying to play the piano with your eyes closed. But then the violin, on the other hand, would be quite difficult. So there's those sort of things as well. There was one other thing I was going to say, but oh yes, and then with deaf musicians as well, signing as a performance, sign song is another way that music can be performed, and it often leads to very sort of emotional performances as well. So that's another method of music. I hope that helps your question, and I hope it answers it really. There's loads of stuff out there on it, but if you do want any more information, please do let me know and I'll do my best to answer it. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.